Dat is eigenlijk een gat met een diameter van een 10 centimeter. Daarin zit een siliconen ring met erin geklemd een deksel. Als ik nu druk, dan moet het mogelijk zijn om deze deksel naar binnen te drukken. Nu is die open. De deksel is eruit, kan eruit. En hier hebben we dus een gedeelte van de grassilage die het dier zojuist gegeten heeft.
When I saw this, for me, that was the very limit. Animal diseases, animal suffering, animals that were no longer treated as living beings. I had seen it all. And I thought, no, not in my name. I want no part in this anymore.
En zo kan het dekseltje er weer op.
In the factory farming industry, animals are adapted to the food that we choose to give them and to the massive stalls in which they are forced to live. They are mutilated, they are giving antibiotics to stop them getting sick. Pigs are now sometimes even given anti-stress pills to help them cope with their unnatural living conditions. Yet the fact that it turns out that livestock makes an enormous contribution to greenhouse gas emissions by belching, farting and defecating doesn't necessarily mean that we'll start keeping fewer cows, pigs and chickens. No, the industry will simply dream up something new. Would you believe it? They now even make fist-sized pills to stop cows from farting so much. But you know, consumer resistance against factory farming is steadily growing due to the increasing awareness of animal suffering that it entails. And sometimes you come across people from an entire different background who surprise you. It was in America that I met a man who is known as the Mad Cowboy. He was a factory farmer who got out of the livestock industry and went vegetarian around the time of the mad cow disease crisis in Europe. Hi, nice to finally meet you.
Nice to see you're unlost again.
Yeah, finally, we made it.
My humble abode.
Thank you. Oh, it's nice and warm here.
This is on the farm, and this is one of the dogs we had, which was Sam, good critter. That's the farm. I'm a fourth-generation farmer, rancher, feedlot operator from Montana. At one time, I had 7,000 head of cattle, 12,000 acres of crop, and 30 employees. I spent 45 years of my life in production agriculture. Not something I learned from a book. I learned it by doing it. I was a factory farmer, the worst of all. Not a family farmer, but a factory farmer. Never met a chemical I didn't like. We'd actually grind up animals and feed them back to our animals. Had all of the bad habits.
What are you doing here?
Branding.
Oh.
See there? I've branded hundreds of thousands of animals.
It's still allowed? It's still allowed in America?
Absolutely. 1979, I ended up paralyzed from the waist down. Doctor told me I had a tumor on my spinal cord. He said, if that tumor's on the inside of the cord, you have less than 1 chance in a million you will ever walk again. Made me stop and think for the first time in my life that I was part of the problem, not part of the solution. I saw the birds die, I saw the trees die, I saw the soil changed. And it was not until I was paralyzed that I was willing to admit that I was the problem. I ended up with a 1 in a million operation. I've walked out of the hospital with a 1 in a million operation, but I walked out a much different individual than I walked in. I knew that what we were doing was wrong, was absolutely, totally non-sustainable. Here's a scone that my wife made. Try that. Vegan. Everything in the house is vegan.
Yeah.
There's no animal products in anything that we have here.
Oh, and it tastes good.
Everybody thought the same way. It was mass hysteria. Everybody was doing it. It must be okay. You started from the time you were a child. And can you imagine what it was like when I first asked myself the question, should we be eating animals? It was one of the most thought-provoking questions I ever had in my life, because I had never even considered that. No. And when you stop and think about it, it is so straightforward and open. Should we eat animals? Absolutely not. Do we need them for protein? Absolutely not. Are they good for us? Absolutely not. Do they enjoy us eating them? Absolutely not. My hometown newspaper put my picture in the front page, and it said, Montana's most famous vegetarian. I picked up the phone and I called them up and I said, why don't you tell it the way it is? Montana's only vegetarian. And they said, no, we have one of you kind of guys here at the paper, so we know there are two. But people don't want to believe that somebody that from the inside of the industry, that when you look at it, the one thing when I debate the issue with somebody from the industry, their common defense is, oh, well, you don't understand. I spent 45 years of my life there. There's nothing that they have done that I haven't done more of it. I've milked more cows, I've slopped more pigs, I've fed more animals, and when they tell me I don't understand, I understand. And what I understand is what we're doing is wrong, it's non-sustainable, it's not good for us, it's not good for the animals, it's not good for the planet. The sooner we stop what we are doing, the better we'll all be.